President Mnangagwa Chitonga,
That's a very good question that you just asked, sir. 2030 Kumboreve. All right, for those that are not aware, 2030 emanated from United Nations goals, Goal 2030. And I just want to read what I managed to outsource online. So, Sustainable Development Goals for United Nations. The 23rd Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations members in 2015, created 17 World Sustainable Development Goals. The aim of these global goals is peace and prosperity for people and the planet. So this has nothing to do with the ZANU-PF. I can never forget 2023 that they actually didn't have a manifesto, and they literally just copycatting what the opposition had suggested. I can also remind you of an article that we read at 2024. That article spoke to military rule and introducing Chiwenga at that time. And there was so much information about muting elections for some time and reform our institutions before elections. That's why when Ziambi came out and began to introduce the same narrative. These guys don't have plans of their own. They always listen to what people say and then gaslight or manipulate to their own advantage. Anyway, I just want you to know that we have a hero in town. Yes, there's a father that has been trending for the past 2 days because he was caught cooking papa in town. So that is Sadza Mutauni Tengesa for his own, to raise his own kids. So I just want to give you a background of this man. Very emotional story. So Danda reported that in an interview with Mr. Chukwava, the science teacher arrested for cooking and selling Sadza in Harare Copacabana area, he has revealed a painful personal story behind his hustle. Chikwaya says he has been selling Sadza for the past 2 years to support his family, including his 24-year-old son who lives with epilepsy, and he is both deaf and unable to speak, saying the small business is his way of trying to keep the household afloat. All right, this kind of men deserve some respect. Respect to say, I honor you. You see, when you meet men who are committed to raising their children and looking after their families, there's nothing but you just find yourself in awe. And you want me to support or to celebrate criminals that are wasting money. When I say wasting, I mean wasting money. Flying expensive jets, spending on stupid garments. These guys dress like crazy people. They move around dressing logo, Gucci logo or Louis Vuitton logo. It's poverty mentality. I'll celebrate this father. Respect for you. Guys, I just want to ask you, we need to shun away violence. I saw a video that is circulating online where a young man was being assaulted by a group of older people because they're accusing him of dressing like a lady and then deceived a street man. Okay. Man of the night. But this on its own has provoked some of the LGBTQ community, and they are marching in Cape Town today. Again, Lando reported that meanwhile, members of the Zimbabwean LGBTQ community based in South Africa are marching in Cape Town while carrying Zimbabwean flags and calling the greater LGBTQ rights in Zimbabwe. I think I may not agree with certain issues, but I've learned to have respect for others. You know, I know those that are Christians, sometimes they'll say, oh, but that is a sin and so forth. There are so many sins. There are so many sins, including lying, including sexual immorality from your pastors. So attacking a person because they're simply a different sexuality, it's sad. What we can do is we can still love each other and respect, notwithstanding what we believe in. That's what I live by. Anyway, let's move on to the story of the day. All right, guys, if it's your first time to pass through this channel, I want to say you're welcome. Do not forget to subscribe. Make sure that you ring the bell so that every time I'm live or I drop a video, you'll be robbed right here. Also want to say shout out to all my regulars, you're welcome. Don't forget to thumbs up the video and share with others in their groups. Moving on, please.
The person that we are trying to push for, is General Chiwenga. Okay, he is our only hope. I want to be very honest and very truthful to you. I want you, after this live, go back, sit down, think about it, and think about the facts that I'm trying to bring on the table. Are we better off continuously with ED, then he can give Kumanawake? Or are we better off with someone like General Chiwenga? Somebody who really wants to look after the nation, but he is being stopped even from doing certain things. So
shout out to my lady, and I'm referring to Minnie Yotavo Baloi Chiwenga. She's trending again today. I think you guys saw a video that I shared 2 days ago about her removal from the Director General and the military intelligence. So, but I just want to say, my lady is doing incredibly well. When people talk about you, most of the times, you know that you're doing the right thing in many ways. Okay. So there was a guy on Facebook who sent out this message. I want to read for you. He said, "But mama mini uyu hasukwendera here nema statements I can." The guy was referring to Temba Mliswa. And this was her response. He said, "Venezuela is very far from Zimbabwe. I genuinely believe this statement triggered all the changes that happened." I think that was like the last straw. But I don't even think that she said it because she was trying to be mean, but I think she said it because she was just trying to create a joke. You know, considering that people had a great time when Mnangagwa responded, a great interview that he had with Taka. I think I enjoyed it because he stood his ground. So that's what she was all saying. She was simply saying, I'm standing my ground on what I believe in. But then things did not go well. She was removed from her position. And Temba Mliswa is excited. But I have got a very simple message for Temba. Don't celebrate too soon. You are dealing with soldiers. You're not dealing with just a mere person on the street. These are well-trained soldiers. You know, you should not confuse some of these young men who are just being manipulated by criminals today and be brainwashed and the actual military. Zimbabwe has always have a very strong, powerful military for decades. It's known for its strength. So do not. We see quite a number of ethical and grounded and top-class military guys, notwithstanding some of them that are being bought by criminals. That is besides the fact. Anyway, let me read what Temba Mliswa wrote because he's celebrating. He said the discourse surrounding Colonel Baloy's situation has regrettably been clouded by political polarized perceptions. However, her position within the nation's MID was undoubtedly untenable given her considerable compromises. Wow. The vice president has transitioned into a full-time political role characterized by distinct ambitions, and thus having his spouse in a pivotal military intelligence position poses a significant risk to the integrity of any sensitive information that may pass through her hands. What implications arise when a report containing adverse information about her husband is funneled through her? The matter is as straightforward as that. This is not about animosity or personal affront against the person of the VP or the colonel. It's a simple case of weeding out a clear risk of the integrity of MID. Moreover, demanding accountability from our leaders should not be perceived as an act of aggression or insult. It is rather a practice that ought to be encouraged and fostered, as it is fundamental to the establishment of an effective democratic system. No leader should be exempt from scrutiny. Personally, I've always engaged in constructive criticism of every leader, including the president, and I find it perplexing that others might be treated as unsaleable figures while holding public office. This tendency of day-fee political leaders is precisely what leads our nation to recurrent disappointment. Leadership must be subjected to rigorous examination. I agree with some of the stuff that Mliswa said. That's one of the reasons why when we speak about Emmerson Mnangagwa, we expect him to be in a position to understand, not to be violent. Because I'm speaking from a point of someone whom I know that they wanted to abduct me. There was a time that I'm also still... People don't know how much of adjustments I've made in my life in order for me to be able to continue. Number one. Number two is to actually see freedom in our country. So we all really are facing a lot of resistance as far as speaking truth to power is concerned. So Mr. Mliswa, you're not the only person. You're not the only person. We are dealing with monsters. But let me just send a warning once again. I phoned someone, I told them 2 days ago, and I was like, don't try nonsense because there'll be a heavy price to pay. If you try me, there will be a heavy price to pay. Don't say I didn't warn you, because I'm just telling you. Don't say I did not warn you, okay? Anyway, Monomotapa dynasty, it's in full swing. More cars are branded. They're being driven around town with President Mnangagwa and another picture of him, and then the picture when he was young. The Monomotapa dynasty. It is in full swing in Harare as we speak. Maybe it's across the country, but I'm just seeing branded cars being shared on social media. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have peace in our country. ZANU-PF failing to do simple things. Just pass the baton amicably. I think the opposition is also struggling with the same thing. I've heard many people complaining, passing the baton. So it is a Zimbabwean disease. We do not know how to build a legacy. We are so greedy, selfish, and ignorant. That's what I'm seeing. Power. We're fighting for illusion while the country is being milked by foreigners. And we're just fighting. It is very sad to watch. Very sad. But like I said last time, that Emmerson Mnangagwa deserves respect on one thing. He plays his games openly. It's what we do when we see that. And I genuinely believe that's one of the reasons why we are moving to this docket here. This is a response, a very serious response from the establishment to say, hey, the sender is no longer hold. So don't play those games with us. I've told you that within the military, security, police and so forth, they're still very much ethical and patriotic citizens who will put Zimbabwe first. But they do it with so much discipline. All right? So this docket we're going to be dealing with right now is a docket that circulated in 2017. If that was Mnangagwa's docket that could have taken him to prison before he escaped from Robert Mugabe. I told you the issue that some people wore wig, carrying Mnangagwa at their back because he had to leave the country. The docket of Emmerson Mnangagwa that you are seeing now, I'm posting that. It's his picture. You can see date of birth, his passport number, his address at the time. I don't know if he's still staying there, but he's got different addresses now. He's a president, he's got a lot of wealth. If Vana Chombo, Vana Mugabe can have, what more does Mnangagwa have? I think Mnangagwa owes almost 3/4 of Zimbabwe. I mean, last time the son bought a street. Look, I just want to remind you. That is Mnangagwa right there. And the story is a very sad story. This docketer, which Mnangagwa was being accused of being the one behind the death of this young girl. And I'm going to go through some of the stuff in there. I took cut the picture of that deceased person, respectfully so. I wouldn't bring that to my channel. But for those that may want to say, I'll drop a link so that you guys can have all the details. But let's pick up what is important. So the circumstances around the death of the woman, which Mnangagwa was being accused of playing a part. The now deceased was a female unmarried adult who resided alone, and she was a pastoress at Living Hope Ministries, Jabula, Rainbow Towers, Harare. The deceased was the accused's girlfriend until the time of her death, meaning this girl was dating Emmerson Mnangagwa. The now deceased rented the flat from Grace Didiza Moyo, NR, then all the details, then the addresses there. We don't want to waste most of our time. Sometime during the month end of April 2014, the now deceased did not pay her May 2014 rentals, which were due. The landlady, Grace Didiza Moyo, followed up the money with the informant who paid several visits at the now deceased residence. but could not locate her. Her mobile phones were continuously unreachable. The informant would find the now deceased's front door locked, all windows closed and curtains drawn. Dust had started to gather at her main door. On 8th May 2014, at about 1100 hours, after having failed to locate the now deceased, the landlady Grace Didiza Moyo approached the informant and advised him that they should go and open the door, the now deceased's apartment, since she had duplicate keys. The informant then suggested that they open the deceased's residence in the presence of the police. They went to Zeta Milton Park, where they were assigned 2 police officers, and they drove to the now deceased's flat. On arrival, they unsuccessfully tried to unlock the front door and proceeded to the back kitchen door, which they found closed but unlocked. They opened the door, and as they gained entry, they were met with a stench smell. On further investigation, they discovered the decomposed body of the now deceased lying on the bed in the spare bedroom. A report was made at Zeta Milton Park. All right. Preliminary investigations were done. The now deceased was not married and was staying alone at the flat. She was a pastoress at Living Hope Ministries situated at Rainbow Towers, Aurora. The deceased's body was lying on the bed in the spare bedroom. There was evidence of struggle as the blankets were untidily spread. Due to the advanced state of decomposition, it is suggested that the deceased could have died a couple of days earlier. And let's just jump a bit because I don't want to waste much of your time. Let's look at the outstanding. Also, despite having been a regular visit, the now deceased resident, the accused was never seen again at the premises, even after the discovery of her remains by the police. So, meaning that Mnangagwa, even though he used to be seen at the place at that time, he was no longer visiting the house. And the deceased body was now conveyed to Parania to a hospital for postmortem examination, where the postmortem was concluded by Dr. Gonzalez, who concluded that the cause of death was indeterminate due to the advanced stage of decomposition, of course. Outstanding to revisit the deceased's family and clarify the accused's relationship with the now deceased, as well as participation at the deceased funeral. It is alleged that the accused paid money for the funeral, meaning Mnangagwa paid there to interview the now deceased churchmates, to arrest the accused person and charge him for murder, as facts are pointing to that effect. The deceased was the girlfriend of the accused. The deceased was last seen with the accused, with Mnangagwa. The accused was last seen giving money to the deceased before her death. The accused paid for the funeral expenses. Okay, so they wanted to arrest Mnangagwa for murder. That is per the docket. So the very same docket now, it is resurfaced. A message being sent. There've also been a lot of messages being sent around that Mnangagwa was ungrateful because Chiwenga saved his life. Chiwenga stood up when he was almost being arrested, and as he left to Zimbabwe, and he brought him back and then anointed him to be Mugabe's successor. But it seems like now he has turned against Chiwenga, because the moment that war demotion of Mini came out, that's when they started firing information on social media, firing after firing after firing. But why? It is very clear that this message has been leaked by people who are really working in these high offices. No one else can do that. And the message is definitely being sent to Emmerson Mnangagwa, because remember, when Mliswa came out saying a lot of stuff, we all knew that this message came from someone, because, I mean, may the soul of Comrade Geza rest in eternal peace. The day Temba Mliswa received money, he came out online and he said, Temba, I've received a lot of money to castigate Chiwenga. And now we can also see that now, because we know that Comrade Geza went home to be with the Lord, like again, a great man rested is in heaven. Now information is now being fired on social media, because no one can actually speak. No one can feel the shoes. Those shoes, no one can feel them. It's very clear. That's where information is always being leaked on social media. I must also let you know, and it's clear that Mnangagwa is only afraid of the military, no one else. I think that's one of the reasons that we had some of them that were given money, cash and cars, which I don't know if they were really interested, because I mean, it's one thing to take the money, it's another thing, because many Zimbabweans today are just collecting money. They've noticed that, oh, there's a lot of money, but the money belongs to the state, so we're just going to take the cars and the money. But at the end of the day, their hearts are somewhere else, because people cannot continue entertaining abuse or controlled by an individual. It's controlling people, it's manipulation. It's very sad. But I want you to listen to what Dr. Nkosana Moyo said.
We as a people are sitting in a fascinating place where evidence and facts don't count for much. Emotion and tribal alliances and regional alliances trump logical analysis. So in terms of a society's evolution, my humble opinion is that we've got this gap where we are still in a place where our solutions are not going to come from a very rational analysis of what is needed.
Wow. The pointers to where we're going then become a bit gloomy, isn't it? Because if we're stuck in that place as a people where it's emotion rather than the facts that helps us make decisions when it comes to politics, we're going to be here for some time.
For a long time. But then you see, here's something which puzzles me. People in the army deal with life and death issues. People in the army survive because of, I think, a fairly rigorous approach to strategy. And people in the army, I would like to think, are trained in a framework which recognizes competence in special fields. So if you're competent in, you join
medicine,
exactly,
engineering,
all of those things. Now, I think that, you know, we can emotionally and idealistically say our solution, as I've seen big debates, let's demilitarize Zimbabwe and so on and so on. But I think in a funny kind of way, I think if the army applied the rigor of its training, the army could actually be the way out of our problem.
Wow.
Yeah, because
that's a radical view from you.
I know. But I'm just standing back and looking at the different segments of our society and where power really lies, and where the training that segments of our society have, where a solution could come from, which recognizes competence and the issues of life and death, and paying more attention to competence rather than emotion. You don't survive in the army by being emotional.
No.
You know that if I am in a unit with Trevor's ability could be what saves my life. So I'm not going to appoint Trevor and be in a unit with Trevor because he's my brother when he knows nothing. That's a very logical. So I would have expected that the solution from the army gets very cold-blooded about what this country needs and getting the people who can execute on it to be the people who are deployed to deliver on it. But for some reason, even there, we are not getting that.
I couldn't agree more, because we also remember about a few weeks ago, Chris Muchangwa came out and said it's up to Emmerson Mnangagwa. We don't have to blame all these guys who were screaming and said, come back, sir, stay there. I mean, it's very clear that we've created a culture of dependency, and majority are just speaking from a point of benefiting, not from a point of love, not from a point of understanding. We have created a docile society, especially around politics. There's a lot of ignorance. So I agree. Nkosana Moyo is spot on. The military has to intervene and restructure the country. And when we say this, we're not talking about people we're just going to come in, cause more chaos, right? But I really believe that the military wasn't happy with Emmerson Mnangagwa in 2018. You remember Julius Malema came out and said, they sat down after about 2 years or so and said, we've made a huge mistake. This country is going nowhere. Mnangagwa needs to only lead for a term, but that's when all the shenanigans that happened, which for those that did not listen to the interview, there's a video that I did where jealousy, where it says jealousy touches Mnangagwa because he had to expose quite a number of things. Mnangagwa is really not fit for purpose. It's very clear. It's one thing him leading for a term, yet alone asking for more terms even after all the nonsense that we went through since 2023. Nah, that is not going to happen. Definitely not going to happen. But no one so said, his children as well actually think that Mnangagwa was doing incredibly well. I want to read a report that were dropped by Landaro online. So Deputy Minister Udakwashe Mnangagwa says the government is satisfied with the current remuneration being paid to civil servants, stating that the lowest paid worker now earns above the poverty datum line. He made the remarks while addressing issues around public sector wages, adding that the government believes the current salary structure is adequate under the prevailing economic conditions. Listen, Mnangagwa was kissing, you guys are living a best life, y'all. You are living your best life. We know that most of military guards and the police and all government institutions, people are living in poverty. They can't even afford to buy a car. If you can be given a car by an individual, then something must be wrong. Because in other countries, military generals, those guys are big guys. I'm talking about judges. Guys, some of the judges in South Africa are my clients. The judges earn good monies. You only see them working. Their children go to top class schools. I'm talking about earning good monies. Okay. But somebody to be given 400,000 to go and get a house. That's an insult. It's an insult. We're living in a country where people decide who to give the money and who not to. So what about those that don't have? What are they going to do? So if Mnangagwa's kids can say, oh, you're good. Let's ask you a question. How much does he earn? What type of life is he living? Extravagant. But because they think you aren't deserving, it's only them deserve. That's what needs to heal in our country. That mentality of thinking that you are better than others. I've always been saying, what needs to heal, number one, is that mentality of thinking that you can remain in power by all means. That we need to restore a moral compass that we live by as a country. But once you have an opportunity to serve, be grateful. You were not deserving of that position, right? But the grace of God took you there. Whatever happened, but you were there. Can't you just walk out peacefully and say, I'm thankful, guys. Things may have gone wrong. I apologize. Some of the things we can have a settlement. I think for once, can we just have peace in our country? But you know that Zimbabweans aren't happy, right? Because some were like, no, it's time for you not to give money to military guys, some of your relatives and public servants. I don't know what you guys think, because every time when people are trying to get to the streets, some of these military boys and these young police guys just cause chaos.
Chinzo ayongana weZimbabwe. Wherever kouri kunze kwenyika uchishanda, chinhu chinonzi hama yechisoja kana mupurisa haapuwi mari. Haapuwi mari, izvo zvogara wakazviziva. Zvinhu zviri muchibhegi chake ichi chiri kumashure ichi, kana riri bifi kana ari matemba, ndio haanodya iwawo, ndio zvaakada. Ndio vari kuchengeta vanhu vari kutinetsa ava. Iwe utumira munhu wakadero mari. Takaposireiko vanhu mukuZimbabwe? Hama ihama inoita kuti iwe ugare zvakanaka, kwete inochengeta munhu uri kukushupa 24/7. Wakachengeta makuru amabhonzo evanhu pahiroseka paya. Wakachengeta makorora awa uri bodyguard. Tichengeta vanhu vauraya nyika, vauraya future yavana vako. Ngaake bifi riri kumashure uko. Ndio zvinoitwa izvozvo. Handipini hama musoja mari. Iye munhu uri kuchengeta ye dodonya munhu iye nepfuti yona ye kuti ugare zvakanaka. Because ivo vari kuhora pamaihora mazigi, imivo vaihora mayusa mashefa. Why makarara? Musoja unopigwe mari. Musoja chera chiro chapamba pako ndio unokwiridzigwa rende vamwe vasina kuvanhu vane njere. Pane nyaya yekuti takarara stereki. Ndosaka tichiramba tichishupika zvetinoita izvo. Vanhu ndo vanobatana kudai kuti dzvi. Kubatana kwete kusapota vanhu vanokurovai. Funga mai vaya vaibuda mabasa mavo vanga vana mabullets kumusana. afaiwa nomusoja 45 degree angle. Masoja yavo vakati ukavati ndai kuGulf uko kuri kurwiwako kuna varume chaivo vanogandira basa ndiro kurova madzimai. Mukadzi wako chaiye kuti atutsire mari yerendi wararwa nalandlord iwe hauna imba unozoona nyama $300 inobatsira chiimbo ndiudza kunewe musoja iwe unorova a fellow countryman wouri suppose unge uchidefenda then iwe uri kuno uri kukanyana nesvina opanda pasekuru mari musoja. Not me, I'm telling you this. Ndinadzo hama zirimo muchiuto neshamwari handipi kana chinhu chinonzi peni rangu handiti musoja hapuwi mari, mupurisa hapuwi mari, mugadhiri hapuwi mari. Iwe uri diaspora, iye urimo muZimbabwe ndozvo munofanira kugara makaziva kana muchisenzera iyo hard end cash wabuda namatonhorera kwa kuchita better again weather yako improve. Ndaiona murekera mwana apo parekera kuda waisaziva kuti kuno kunoita snow ivo vakauya manje apa rekera uyu matrenas angana azara snow wanyorova then wotora mari yakaderewo pamusota kwaindi sekuru wangu sekuru vari kuchengeta rova mbiri rakaita kuti uye unokuchande wewe sunurai hakuna musoja apiwi mari for your own information. Musoja musiya atambure because ibenzi romunhu rinochengeta munhu orikuziva kuti ndiye ari kuita kuti kutambure wochengeta munhu wakadero apu. Anyway, handina zvakawanda zvokutaura. May God bless our country.
I agree with Mkoma Kwanku. It's time that the security sector chooses between the country, its legacy, or a person and his ambitions. Because anything that we see today, it just boils down to the fact that Emmerson Mnangagwa wants to turn Zimbabwe into a kingdom for his children. Meaning the guy had a mission from the time Mugabe invited him. You know, I feel like Mnangagwa was playing the politics of the old, of conquering. So he came with one mission to conquer the entire country and then owns it. You tell me what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, God bless you and God bless Zimbabwe. I love you. Bye for now.